Armed with a few digital audio files to use and Reaper successfully installed, you are ready to start working in and learning about DAWs. This video and page is an overview, essentially, of Reaper. I just want you to know, as you learn Reaper, please remember that Reaper is one of many possible DAWs that you may use in your work and career with sonic art and sound. I will present topics and information whenever possible in a way that is transferable to any other DAW. Said another way, the things you are learning should be transferable to other DAWs. Many of the concepts, terminology, and approaches are the same, especially as they all come out of the tape-based studio tradition presented a few screens back. Okay, so I'm going to get Reaper up and running here. Wonderful. So, just so you're aware, this section down here is called the mixer section. In this section here is the arrangement section. These can essentially be broken down into kind of the two major sections that you're going to deal with. In the mixer session, that's where we're going to adjust levels, put in sound effects and plugins, and position sounds in the stereo field. We're going to talk about all this, of course, as the weeks go on. In the arrangement view, if you're not familiar with time-based media editing tools, that's where we're going to actually place our media and set it up according to time and in relationship to each other. The arrangement view in all DAWs will contain available tracks, almost always organized horizontally, so that data media within those tracks can be represented horizontally in relation to each other and a master timeline. Different DAWs will allow you to add media files in different ways, but one of the nice things about Reaper is that we can actually just drag and drop media files straight in. So I'm going to grab my downloads folder here where I had all of those things we downloaded. And let's see, what do we want to start with? Let's start with that trees rustling. Oh, sorry, I've got the pen tool on still. Great. So I can, again, just drop that straight in here. And notice it creates a new track for me. So these right here are called tracks in Reaper. Different DAWs will have different names for those as well, but oftentimes track is going to be the most common term for that type of thing. Each audio file or audio file segment is represented as a block in the arrangement view within the unique track. So, oh goodness, do not show this window again. Close. We can see here this audio file. And this is a block that we can move around. It represents the audio. If you're on a Mac, you can do a 2-finger pinch and scroll in and out. I believe you can also, if you use Option, we can move left and right. Command allows me to make tracks larger and smaller from a height perspective. We can also access all this with these two plus and minus signs over here on the right. So that's going to be the one for track height, and this is going to be the one for zooming in and out horizontally. And again, if I zoom in this way, I can make my tracks taller or less tall, and I can zoom in or zoom out horizontally with those arrows over there. Track names are another really critical piece. Obviously, you want to be careful about what you're naming your tracks so that it's meaningful to you while you're working through a larger audio project, or imagine that you put something away for a few weeks or a year or longer and come back to it. We want to have legible track names that make sense and allow you to know what's going on. To change a track name in Reaper, we simply need to double click in, and then we can change the name of it. So I'm going to put this as trees, birds, and wind. And now that track name, trees, birds, and wind, is there. And the reason I'm changing it as opposed to relying on the name of the file we put in is that you might bring in files from different places that have similar types of vibe to them or material in them that whose names are different and don't make sense. So again, we just want to be explicit with how we name our tracks. And I would encourage you, as you create new tracks in any DAW or other time-based editing environment, to always name them something that makes sense and is legible to you. Another thing to be aware of in Reaper is the timeline. So our timeline is this thing at the top right here. And this shows us the relationship of our individual media files or blocks to time itself. There's a couple of things going on here. Sorry, let me get back to my cursor. Come on. There we go. Notice that at the top, these two numbers, we've got 1.1.00. That's a bars and beats nomenclature, essentially representing how much time according to a metronome has passed. And the second number is our actual absolute time, or minutes and seconds. For the time being, we probably are more interested in the minutes and seconds, since we're not doing anything that's musically rhythmic at the moment. The playhead is another thing to be aware of in Reaper. So if I click anywhere, will you notice that we get this blue line that's popped up? And this is my playhead. And this is where Reaper will start playing when I hit play. Now, we haven't talked about how to play yet, but just keep that in the back of your mind for when we do get to that moment. Another thing to be aware of in Reaper is what's known as the transport. And this is whoops, grabbed something wrong. This section right here is our transport. Within our transport, we have buttons that allow us to start playback, stop or pause playback, start recording, which we're not going to get to for a little bit, and move forward or backwards in time. We also have a representation of our current time according to bars and beats and absolute time, as well as the status of our session at the moment. Over on the right-hand side is information such as the section that we're in, the beats per minute, our current bar marking, and then there's some information about automation that we'll get to in a later week. However, if I hit the playhead, and I'm going to pause for 1 second because I want to make sure that this is going to play through the recording. So give me 1 second here. And so again, if I hit the play button, notice it plays from where our playhead is. If I hit stop and hit play again, it starts from that same spot. If I hit play and I hit pause, the playhead moves and it'll pick up right from there. I can move to the beginning. I can move to the end. And that's how you use the transport. Hopefully this high-level overview of Reaper made sense.